Welcome tonight. Thank you, folks. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the audience, President Faub is out today, so I'll be facilitating the meeting in her stead. Ms. Grant, can you take the roll, please?
Yes. Dr. Baker.
Here.
Dr. Flores.
Present.
Ms. Grant present. Ms. Lewis.
Present.
Reverend Matias.
Present.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade.
Present.
President Faub is excused. Vice President Ross.
Present. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Dr. Baker.
Yes.
Dr. Flores.
Yes.
Ms. Grant, yes. Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Reverend Matias.
Yes.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade.
Yes.
President Faub is excused. Vice President Ross.
Yes. All right. Thank you. We'll start with celebrations. To speakers, we do have interpreters in the house tonight, so we can be sure we use the microphone so they can hear you loud and clear, be it staff or public. Other than that, celebrations we have on deck. Peace Education Week.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. I would like to call forward John Hemholt, please.
Mr. Ross, members of the board, President or Superintendent Weatherall Neal. It's that time of the year again. We're here with our friends to share information about the International Peace Week, as well as some new things that are coming up with the 70th anniversary of the United Nations Human Rights Resolution. And so I'm going to just simply pass it off to the experts here.
Okay. Thank you, John. Mike Franz. I've been working with Katie Valaire and other people from the Institute for Global Education diligently for the last 35 years. This is our 35th consecutive year of a week of peace education. And that's a pretty important moniker for you to hang on your heads. You're the only school district in the United States that can claim that, okay? This year is, as you said, John, indeed unique. We normally, in recent years, have based our peace education program on the United Nations International Day of Peace, okay, which always occurs on the 21st of September. The thing that's a little bit special about this year is that the UN has declared that this is the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was created and signed in 1948, 70 years ago, by the United Nations and the United States, and almost every nation there signed it. At that time, the Soviet Union did not. And in case you need a reminder, we had just left World War II and a terribly costly war, World War I, and the people of the world had suffered terribly. And I'm not going to enumerate all of their sufferings, but it affected the people who had to migrate, the people who were bombed, the people in concentration camps, and all of the other nasty things that happened during that terrible war. So the United States was signatory to it. And what the declaration says, in effect, is that the people, all of the people without, are equal in that they have certain inalienable rights. And this document goes beyond our own Constitution with our Bill of Rights, which are all important, but they're all part of it too, by the way. People have the right to an education, to a job, to participate in their government, in other words, to vote, and to feed and to eat and to have medical care. And it goes on. There are 30 articles, and I'm not going to attempt to give them to you tonight, but they're easy to attain if you just look up the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. you'll see them. And we've prepared the teachers with a middle school list, a 2-page that puts it more in language in terms that they can understand. The original document's worth reading, has been translated into every language on this planet, the most translated document. It just so happens, well, maybe not just so happens, but 50 years ago this year, Martin Luther King, in one of his last speeches, turned his attention from the civil rights movement to the problems of the poor in the world. And he declared that we had passed through the era of civil rights and had now entered an era of human rights. And that, of course, had to be an echo of the Universal Declaration. And so this Friday, the 21st, we have an opportunity to introduce our children in our public schools to this concept that they are equal under the law, and the laws are not perfect, and we haven't fulfilled all of them yet, but they are entitled to a family, and not to be separated from that family. They're entitled to immigrate to another country to leave some tortured area of the world. These are basic human rights, and the countries who are signatory to it have been asked to guarantee those rights to the people. So this is kind of an important document that we're dealing with here. And I certainly hope, and we've been assured, Superintendent Neal, that your curriculum people are going to come up with some interesting ways to introduce these concepts to our children. I just have one change to the declaration that the board passes annually. We still are calling this the Week of Peace Education. It's a good moniker. But one of the codicils we've added on page 3, be it further resolved that Friday, September 1st, 2018, be declared a day of peace education for the purpose of celebrating the special United Nations theme, celebrating the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And they've also called it the right to peace. Katie Valère, Dr. Valère, would you like to make a few comments to us here?
I want to remind people that since I've set a special date about 8 years ago for the International Day of Peace, September 21st, we have had several programs, the Institute for Global Education, and one of the programs that we have is an interfaith program at Dominican Center, Marywood, on the Sunday closest to the International Day of Peace. And we usually have about 8 people from different faith and philosophical traditions, and they talk for about 5 minutes about how their faith or philosophy promotes peace. And this year they'll be adding comments about the human rights and how their faith tradition promotes human rights as well. I want to mention that the mayor has proclaimed for the last 8 years in Grand Rapids, the United Nations International Day of Peace to be on September 21st. And I also might draw to your attention a program that we put together that we call the right to peace, that there is a human right for a peaceful life and peace among countries and among peoples, among individuals. And I think Mike knows the time and dates of that program that we've already put together, and that's available for you to see. And I just think that this seems to be a time in human history when it's really important to commemorate these rights for all people on the planet. Thank you.
That special program is called, it's part of our IGE Talks series. And if you want to see it tonight, you can just go home and look up igetalks.org. And that first program, The Right to Peace, is an hour discussion of the things we've been talking about here, where it's fleshed out a little more. It can also be accessed on Comcast TV on Thursday nights and Saturday mornings. But thank
May
you.
I ask a question, please?
Yeah,
Is there
questions.
going to be some sort of a curriculum, or are we going to establish the curriculum for this particular?
Kathy, so our plans are our curriculum staff will read what they did present, and then our curriculum staff will come up with our teachers, the curriculum.
You know, it would be enough if we just asked the children to read the document, and each of them take 30 articles. They could each take one article, and
In the
then from there
simplified
expand
version.
it into more of an understanding of what
Yeah,
they mean.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we have a curriculum that's age appropriate planned.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No student reps at this time. Obviously, Mr. Gorman, probably about that time, huh? But public comment, do we have any public comment for board agenda items?
We do not.
All right. Reports, Secretary's report?
Yes, so we have a quick secretary's report tonight. The Finance Committee will meet on Monday, August 27th at 4 p.m. in the auditorium. And the Ad Hoc Policy Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, August 29th at 8 a.m. in room 101 in the Administration Building.
Great, thank you. No committee chair updates. Superintendent's report?
Thank you. Mr. Ross, I would like to ask Larry Johnson to please come forward. And following will be Dr. Gorman, Dr. Ron Gorman on the first day of school update.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ross, Superintendent Neal, remaining board members. Just want to talk very briefly about the opening of school and around school safety and just some of the work that led up to that. I had a great opening today. One thing that we know how to do in the Grand Rapids Public Schools is open school, and that was evidenced today. Harry Wong talks about the first 10 days of school and what happens, and there's a lot of things that leads up to make that first 10 days smooth for the teachers. And so we work with the police department in asking them to just pay attention to our yellow buses and the flashing signs, flashing red lights out there and yellow lights. So we asked the police to put some additional patrols out, which they did, just helping our kids get safely to and from school. And we've got that occurred today, but that'll happen over the next couple weeks when we'll see additional patrols out on the road, just helping our kids, our security staff out moving around. But more importantly, our teachers. I mean, just phenomenal teachers and administrators that are out working with our young people, getting them to where they need to go in classrooms. And it was exciting to be in buildings today, as I know this building was pretty much empty, and we were out working with kids, and we'll continue to do that. But over the last couple nights, I just want to say thank you to Ken Carl Parents and his team and the operations team, who was, when I say out to wee hours in the morning, moving furniture and cleaning buildings, finding lost items from teachers that were packed up and getting them back to teachers this morning, and they'll continue to do that. Jamel, and these are some of the folks that I was with on the phone all weekend long. I think on Saturday I must have called him 50 times just working through some transportation issues. And you know what? Today we didn't have any transportation issues. So our hotline is just shut down about 20 minutes ago. All kids are home right now, safe, and we're looking forward for an exciting school year because we had a great opening. And I believe that the way you open is the way you run the school year, and so the opening will dictate how we run. So any questions, we'll take them at this time. Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr.
Dr.
Gorman.
Gorman?
Okay, good evening. Superintendent Weatherall Neal, Vice President Ross, distinguished members of our Board of Education. I'm here before you to provide a quick update on day one and then also introduce some new administrators to you. This was a positive first day, many success stories. Students were in uniforms, ready to learn. The superintendent, the chief of staff, our assistant superintendents, and the executive directors were in buildings supporting our teams. There were no major problems to report, and this was corroborated by the quiet phones in the communications department. So I got that right from John Helmholtz a couple of hours ago. Teachers were setting expectations, teaching lessons. They were well prepared. Classrooms and schools were inviting. The facilities team did a phenomenal job. I know that Chief of Staff Johnson gave a shout out to Ken Klum parents, but I think he and his team may need another one because the buildings were ready to go. From an enrollment perspective, on day one, we had over 13,000 students attend school on day one, which is really good on day one, and also considering that it's August 20, it's especially positive. We expect our numbers to climb every single day, and we are expecting 179 more great days in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce some new members to our team. Some of the faces will be a little familiar to you because they have gotten promotions in the school district. Others are brand new. So principals and assistant principals, when I say your name, please rise. We'll start out with Brad Ludwig. Brad is the principal at C.A. Frost Middle High. He is also over our zoo program. Brad was an assistant principal at C.A. Frost Middle High last year, did a phenomenal job. And he has also spent time as an educator at Ottawa Hills and Union. Next up, we have Adam High Gutierrez, who is the Westwood Middle School principal supporting Mr. Branson. Adam comes to us from the Zeeland Public Schools. He is you're always going to be, a Spanish teacher. And I was going to say was, but you're always a teacher. And also a substitute principal. So when his administrator was out of the building, Adam took over in the Zeeland Public Schools. Thank you, Adam. Next up, Thomas Standifer, who is at Mulek Park as a principal. He is the principal there. He is a former third grade teacher at Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Academy. So he spent some time in the classroom. He's instructionally sound, did a very good job there. And we expect nothing but the best from him in his new role. Harvey Crawley, who is the new principal at Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Academy. Many of you may know Harvey from his time at City High Middle as an assistant principal and also spent some time at Sherwood Park. Harvey's always ready to serve. So when you call Harvey, just tell him where you need him to go and he's ready to serve. So thank you, Harvey. I appreciate that. Next up, we have Maureen Capillo. She is our principal at North Park Montessori. Maureen comes to us as a Montessori teacher leader from Boston and the DC schools. So she came a long way to serve in Grand Rapids, so please welcome her to the team. Thank you. Next up, Julie Ryers is our principal at Ridgemore Park Montessori. Julie also comes from out of state. She was a Montessori teacher leader at a Montessori resident school in Cincinnati, so please welcome her to the team. Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Carla Finn, who is the principal at C.A. Frost, our elementary program. She is also over program at Blandford. Carla is a veteran educator. She and I spent some time at Alexander back in the day together. She's a phenomenal teacher leader, and she was the assistant principal at C.A. Frost last year. So it's Carla Finn. Next up, Stephen Podbergar. Hope I said that correctly. I'll get better if I didn't. You don't need to correct me right now, but we'll get there. Assistant principal at C.A. Frost and Blandford, supporting Carla's work. Comes to us from North Park Montessori, where he was a teacher leader in that building. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice warm welcome to all of our new administrators. Any questions?
Did we miss Miss Marr?
You did not, because she is on your agenda for approval.
Oh, okay.
And I would never want to put that on there without approval.
Okay.
That's correct.
So later this evening, if
Sweating
approved,
now.
if approved later, we will bring her to the table.
That's right.
I should have known, right?
Process is extremely important.
Thank you, Dr. Gorman.
Without presumptions. No, that's the test, I believe.
That's right.
All right, totally. Thank you very much, and congratulations and welcome. Thank you
Congratulations.
to you folks, really, sincerely.
Wonderful.
Action items. Purchasing agenda. I get a motion, please.
So moved?
Support.
I guess I should have asked if there was any discussion on the purchasing agenda first, excuse me. No, there being none? Okay, the motion was, and Tony was the second, correct?
All right, Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Grant, yes. Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias,
Yes.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Faub is excused. Mr. Ross.
Yes. And we also have action item, the resolution for approving the collective bargaining agreements for 5 of our collective bargaining units. Any discussion? If not, may I get a motion, please?
Motion to support the resolution.
Second?
Support.
All right. Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Grant, yes. Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias,
Yes.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Faub is excused. Mr. Ross.
Yes. Now we have action item to certify delegates to participate in the MASB Delegate Assembly. When is that assembly anyway?
November 1st through 4th. Last year, Jose and I went as delegates, and I would like to go again.
Okay. I don't think anyone's going to fight you for that. Anyone else interested in attending?
I
will-
may be interested. I'll have to-
Okay. I know we should have at least 2. We can have up to 4.
Can we nominate people that aren't here?
Well, okay. There being no other volunteers at this point, we'll move. Go ahead.
Can we add people later after we vote?
I believe we can add people later. I don't know when the cutoff is. We'll follow up on that, but I know it's not today.
I think it's mid-September.
Okay.
September 15th or 14th.
So right now we'll make note of Ms. Lewis and possibly Mr. Matias, and then maybe we'll just revisit this for the next board meeting and solidify it then. Okay. Well, I guess at that juncture we will just table this until the next meeting. And let's go to the consent agenda. Well, I guess I need a motion to support the tabling of this, actually.
Motion to table the certification of delegates to the MASB convention.
Second?
Does there need to be a vote for that? Yeah. I think we do need to vote for that. Thank you. Peanut gallery.
Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Grant, yes. Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias,
Yes.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Faub is excused. Mr. Ross.
Yes. All right, we'll move to the consent agenda grouping. Any discussion for any of those? If not, a motion from anyone?
I'll move.
Support.
Support.
Give that one to Matthias. He's been trying all night.
All right. Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Grant, yes. Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias,
Yes.
Ms. Shockey is excused. Ms. Slade,
Yes.
President Faub is excused. Mr. Ross.
Yes. There are no discussion items tonight. Do we have any public comment for non-agenda items?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, well, superintendent's comment, and I believe you have someone to introduce.
I do. I would like to ask Dr. Ron Gorman to come forward once again and take the time for my comments, Mr. Ross.
Okay. Ms. Downs-Lewis, we do have two administrators to recognize this evening. One, of course, Abby Marr, who you just approved. She is a former Ken O'Shea teacher, former museum school teacher, who is now our principal at Ken O'Shea. So please welcome Abby Marr to the team. And she has been, so we didn't start day one without a principal. So Robert Hurd is with us this evening. Could you please stand, sir? He's been supporting our work there and will continue for a little while to support Abby and her work. So thank you so much for helping us get the school year started. You've done a phenomenal job. Thank you. And then lastly, Michael Perez is the new principal at Burton Middle. He has a freshman in college who he's taking to school this evening, so he could not be with us this evening. But hopefully we will be able to introduce him to you at a subsequent meeting. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Well, board member comments. Ms. Lewis, would like to go first?
I'm all excited for Miss Marr. She had cure at museum school, and she's an excellent teacher. And I did want to say how happy I was to be involved in the ribbon cutting at the new elementary school and the new high school at museum. Both of them were really wonderful experiences, and the excitement of the kids and parents at museum as well as at the elementary school. Everybody was so happy and pleased. It was a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
No comment.
I just want to say thank you to all of our staff who pulled off an extraordinary first day. It is so much work, and you guys are taking care of all of our babies. So thank you for your hard work. And just a few more days to go till we're in summer again.
Yeah, no, thank you. Mr. Matias?
Oh, okay.
Oh, excuse me.
¿Cómo no? Yeah, it was exciting to be part of the ribbon cutting. It was really a joy, in particular at Buchanan, to see the excitement among the parents who felt like this is going to be a safe place for my child, and then the staff as well. I'll echo it. We do have phenomenal staff and people that are going well beyond in order to serve our children. And this really puts us at a place to be able to meet not only the physical needs, great buildings, but continuing on our academic needs. So kudos to everyone. Thank you.
I just echo the excitement about the opening of the school year and many of the new ventures that we have, and certainly welcome aboard those of you who are new, and congratulations to those who've been promoted. You know, and I'd love to, to echo also the enthusiasm about let's give peace a chance. So I think that's a great resolution.
Yeah, thanks. It's great. It sounds like a very impressive group of new administrators. I want to echo the sentiments about the school openings. It was, the museum high school was fantastic. It was such a celebration, not just of the high school, but of this community and its past and the people that came together to celebrate it. And so it was very nice to see that recognized. I think that oftentimes we are criticized for focusing on the downtown, the sexy kind of opportunities like the museum high school, but the Buchanan high school, the Buchanan school, a neighborhood school was just as spectacular, and probably as many people that were there as that were at. But yet it was people walking across the street, not driving or looking for parking. It was very impressive. That if anybody saw the images that were posted on Facebook from that event, was as impressive as the opening of the museum high school. I think it says something about where we're at, that we are at a place that builds new schools in old places like the museum and brings a returning spirit to the city, but that we're also about a place that is building new life in newer communities. And so it's really pretty fantastic to be a part of it. So it's great to be there last week. And so, yeah.
Great, thank you. I guess similar to your comment, I noticed Congress at their ice cream social last week. It was really electric, if you would, in the grounds area, and really was exciting to see a neighborhood school being so vibrant. So definitely kudos to everyone for that. Definitely a special welcome to all of our new and promoted folks, Mr. Levick, Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Standiford, Mr. Crawley, Ms. Capillo, Ms. Ryer, Ms. Finn, Mr. Pod Vigor. Did I get it right? I tried to. Close. Yeah, close. Miss Mara, Mr. Perez for sure. But I do want to take a special moment, not just to thank you guys, but to really give a shout out to Mr. Hurd. Those of you who may not be familiar with Mr. Hurd, he has truly been a lifelong champion, literally, for all things related to success for young people in Grand Rapids. He has taken countless folks under his wing and has opened his heart and his mind to try to enrich, again, not dozens, not hundreds, probably thousands of young people in this city, and truly respected and appreciated, and always willing to step up to the plate when needed for anything, and just definitely a shout out to you for that, and thank you for your commitment to not just this district, but to the city for sure, very much so. Other than that, though, just welcome back everybody, and let the good times roll. It's another 179 days. Thank you very much.